This is purely an entertainment channel, not a how-to channel. I'm new to turning, so if you see something, say something in the comments below. Hey, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to do the Q&A session. I asked you a while back in a previous video to ask me some questions. Well, I've compiled a list of all the questions that have been asked of me, and we're going to go over those questions and answers while we make a bottle stopper. I got a screw chuck for making this bottle stopper along with the drill and tap set and a set of 5. Now, we're not going to make all 5 of them. We're going to make 1, maybe 2 if we need to. But we're going to start off making 1 out of the scrap pieces under the bandsaw. I always keep this box and throw pieces of scrap in here. I think we can glue a nice little hodgepodge piece of wood together and make it into a bottle stopper. If all else fails, we can always reach down and grab a piece of American lace wood. We'll make a stopper out of this if this fails. So let's get started. One of the questions I was asked quite often was, what got me into turning? Ooh, nice piece. I'm no stranger to woodworking tools, but a lathe is the one thing I never really got a chance to work with, and it's always fascinated me. Oh, that's kind of cool. So, it came up in a conversation with a friend of mine. If you had one woodworking tool, what would you want? And from that came, well, the response of a wood lathe. Fall of 2019, I purchased a lathe. Not this one, a cheap brand. And from that, I needed to become a little bit more aware of the safety features involved in wood turning, because in woodworking, your tools are always the ones spinning. It's saw, table saw, drill press, radial arm saw, the tool is spinning. But in this case, wood turning lathe, the wood is spinning and your tool is standing still. So I don't know what type of secure safety features I needed to be aware of. So I joined a local wood turners club in hopes to get that information before I even unboxed the lathe that I got. So my first year as a wood turner in the wood turning club, and they do their hands-on training for those safety measures I was talking about earlier in the spring of any given year. And wouldn't you know it, the year was 2020. Yeah, well, we all went into lockdown. We all know how that ended up. So, what am I supposed to do but start a wood turner channel and get some positive feedback from other turners on what I'm doing right or wrong and how I can improve. The constructive criticism I got made me a much better turner. Now while we let this dry, we're going to fix this right here. Had some not some complaints, but suggestions on I should paint that. Well, we're going to do something a little different.
And now back to our regular scheduled program.
One of the questions I got, why do I spin the wood before turning it on? And it's just to make sure it clears the tool rest. One of the other questions I get asked is, why do I put my tool on top? And it's to see if it's round or close to round based on vibration. So you get a lot of vibration in it, jumps, that means that it's not round, whereas here it's close to being round. I know it's not, without having to turn it off and look. We can see they're getting round here, but right there, not so much. Other questions I receive is, what is a glue block? And a glue block is, well, I'll show you real quick here. It is a scrap piece of wood like this that will fit inside a chuck, and you put glue on the outside of it and you stick your piece of wood on it, and the glue is strong enough to hold it while you turn it, as long as it's not too big. And that's basically what a glue block is. It's a waste block, a piece of wasted piece of wood that gets turned away. And that's it. Now we could turn this down to our chuck.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne, for old lang syne.
Somebody asked me about OB shine juice. What is it and how do I apply it? Well, the OB shine juice is really made up of three parts. There's denatured alcohol, linseed oil, and shellac. And how do I apply it is I take the product down to 400 grit, and then I take my denatured alcohol to wipe off any of the dust, get it down to its bare bone basics really, and to lift up the fibers that were depressed during the sanding process. I'm going to lift them up a little bit just so I can knock them back down or cut them off completely. But before I do that, after putting the denatured alcohol on, that just cleans up the surface for the most part. And then I will go back with, I will come back with the sanding sealer. And the sanding sealer I choose is Mylan's. I'm not affiliated, I have no sponsorships. So, get a little piece of paper and towel here. Get a little piece of paper towel. Just need a little bit on there. It's a small little project. Just get the sanding sealer on there, and that just seals up those grains and helps those fibers that are standing up to just solidify in place, or lay them down permanently, one or the other, doesn't really matter. Once that's dried on there, I'll take 600 grit. Let me get this on here. Always wear your protective masks and turn that on. 600 grit. That's to knock down those fibers and also to polish it up that last little bit. But I also will take a piece of, I'll get this piece here, piece of gray or fine Scotch-Brite, and we'll also knock it down with that. That's another way of taking off those little fibers before giving it that final coat. Alright, let's get to the OB Shine Juice now for a minute. The OB Shine Juice, you don't need a lot of it. In fact, I encourage you to, if you are going to do this, to make a small portion. Do only 1 ounce of linseed oil, 1 ounce of denatured alcohol, and 1 ounce of shellac. So with 3 ounces, that should last you a lot of projects, depending on the size of those projects, of course. As it sits for a while, those 3 components will separate, so you're going to need to shake it up really well. And also when you're applying it, use a clean, don't use paper towel, use a clean white, well, it doesn't have to be white rag, I guess, but I have white rags. And I try to put it on a decent amount just to coat it initially. This is just the first hand turn coat to get it all over the product that I'm going to shine. Now we're going to turn it on really low, or as low as this setting will go for this speed. I got it on the highest speed, which is 650. And then we're just going to make sure we got ourselves a nice clean section here. Nice, you can see there's no wrinkles in this. It's nice and flat. And we're going to start polishing, holding it fairly tight and just letting it rub on there nice and cleanly. And then as it's drying up, we're going to crank it up to about half the speed I'm getting out of this, which is 1800 right now. So we went from 650 to 1800. I'll let this really polish up. You can start seeing it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's starting to turn to glass here. I'm getting a nice reflection back at myself with the fabric and the lights. Can't quite see myself yet. Now we're going to crank this right on up to about 3000. And now we're going to actually put some pressure behind it, because here we're going to do, it's a friction polish, so we're going to wait for it to get really super hot. Not super hot, but it's going to feel the temperature rising in your fingers through the gloves. And that's when you know you're starting to burn that polish in. You're trying to practically stop the wood from turning at the speed that it's at. Putting a lot of pressure up on it. Ooh, hot. And you can see it's actually getting shiny on the cloth itself. I don't know if you can see that, but it's getting hard. That's what you want. Now we'll bring that down, back down to the 650. I'll shake this up. We'll put another coat on. Nice little wet coat. So this is just put another layer on, and the one layer will bleed into the next layer. It'll fill in any cracks or bumps, and it just starts building onto itself. And you want to put anywhere from 3 to 7 coats, depending on how thick you want the shine to be. It doesn't get much shinier. It just builds more shellac into your shine. So it just layers it. You can see it's a little tight to get into this crack right here. So what we can do is open this up and just stick it in there with some pressure to polish it. And we'll crank this right up. Somebody asked me about what tools I have. Well, I got a starter set, which has been really helpful. I also purchased a couple other tools. I got a smaller parting tool. Also made, which you can see the video for that early on. I made another parting tool, a little pointer, and a little cove tool, which I keep over here when I need them. Then I purchased some carbide tools. Now the carbide tools, let's face it, for a new turner, the carbide tools are like a little blessing in disguise. They are great for getting you to the end product of what you're looking to do, but they're nothing more than a scraper, really. But they helped me get to the end result of my products while I was still learning how to use a bowl gouge, which, after finding out that a roughing gouge shouldn't be used on end grain, I got a huge bowl gouge. This is a 1-inch bowl gouge from Hurricane Tools, and it's great. I use this for roughing, but I also used it for detailing on some work recently, and it's great. It's just a fantastic, big, beefy tool for doing that roughing in. And then I decided that was so great, I was going to get myself 3/8, and I think this was a 5/8, maybe a 1/2-inch bowl gouge. And again, Hurricane Tools for the 1/2-inch. And this one is a Crown tool, Sheffield, Ellsworth, David Ellsworth. This is a 3/8 David Ellsworth, which isn't bad. It's kind of nice. It's a nice tool. I then went ahead and got a flat edge scraper so I can put a nice flat bottom on the bowls to put my logo on. Burn that logo in. Speaking of logo, that's another question I got. This was, I don't know, the brand here is Emily Craft Supplies. I don't know if that's where I got it from. That's what's on here. It was a branding company, and sent out a design. They sent it back, nice little piece of brass, and this is what it looks like. This is a test burn I did in pine, just to see what it looked like. Again, it's just evergreen with end cut, end log, with my name under it. Let's make sure this goes in all the way. All right, and so this was a piece of canary wood. Purple Heart, walnut, I think. Purple Heart, black walnut, Perdue, ash. This is that Kulaba, some zebra wood, sapele. That other yellowish wood I think is yellow heart possibly. And then look at the end. Isn't that cool looking? That really turned out nice. That turned out really beautiful. This was a fantastic little project. I'm kind of emotionally touched on this one because of the it's incorporated many of the pieces of wood that were turned this year. Okay, enough of that. I really like this. I hope you did too. You see something new. I did a sticker swap with Doug from Pole Barn Productions. Pole Barn Productions. Doug does a weekly video every Friday, and it's usually resin and wood. But he recently turned something completely out of wood, which was unusual for him, but he does a great job every single week. So, first sticker swap gets on the clock face, position number 1. Give him a check out, link right there and in the description down below. And when I get a pressure pot, I'm gonna add this sticker to it. So, I hope you liked this video as much as I enjoyed turning it and answering those questions. If you did, consider hitting that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for giving me a turn on your screen, and we'll see you, well, next year. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody has a safe holiday. Now roll those outtakes. So we got ourselves a 34 by 20 bottle. 34. Ah, shit. Try that again. I'll figure it out eventually. God, big son of a. Oh, I forgot my spacer. Ha-ha! I'm like, there's something wrong. Yes, there is something wrong. I'm like, there's like space here. Oh no! I think it was SJ Workshop. I'll link a description in the below. I'll link the description below. In the below? Oh, come on. Oh. Oh God. Almost dropped it. Thanks for giving me a turn on your screen. My screen? Your screen. No cap and so forth. It's chrome. We're gonna take this. Oh no! Trying to get a close up and look what happened. Oh Jesus! I think you can kind of spin that back in there, maybe. Oh come on! Seriously? Oh, this thing is a piece of crap. Hey, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, I am going to try and take this kiln-dried black walnut. Holy crap! Start over. Outtake number 1. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm going to start that over. Walnut and ash, and try to make a toothpick holder. A touch higher, a 1/16 of an inch taller, perhaps. Seriously? Come on! I'm going on silent. Make it into a beer koozie. Phone. I have a number of questions that we'll go over while we're making a bottle stopper, wine topper. The first thing I do is I take my end product to about 400 degrees. What am I cooking? What is this, a baking show? Start this over again. Branding company. Then here's some samples on this piece of pine. Oh my goodness. Pine.